Welcome, dog fans, to the Dog Show. This is a rapid reaction Troop and Smooch special guest Coach Hayes, the Dogs, with a 30 to
Mm.
15 win as they went into Austin and beat the Longhorns 30 to 15, the number one team according to
Yes,
the
sir.
AP poll. Horns down. Georgia won that game. This was outstanding. Won against odds, won against predictions, and the defense uh, totally took over this game. Smooch.
Georgia came to play. They came to play on defense. Kirby had them prepared to play on defense. The game got
Yes.
crazy at the end. And you know what? The Dogs held on. They took it home. They brought it home. And it's another victory, even though an odd one in every perspective, Troop Brinson.
Yeah, odd one. Coach, 23-0 at the half. What did you see uh, throughout this game that made a difference for the Dogs finding a way to get a victory?
Well, first, I want to say all to those Texas fans who talked down us game day at ESPN, all them naysayers out there. I want
Love
to
it.
say this. I think offensively, we're still inconsistent. The one thing that was nice is the defense kept us in short field situations a lot during the night. And when the offense could click, we were dropping balls. Carson would either have
Come
a
on.
poor throw, and then when he would have a good throw, we wouldn't execute the catch. So that was an inconsistency that frustrated me. But because our defense played so well in the first half, they kept us on a short field. In fact, I think we only had one drive where we started in minus territory. So, staying at the 50 and staying on the plus side definitely helps. It keeps your offense, going, motivated. It keeps the defense on the sideline, keeps them rested up. But it just goes to show we just exposed this team for what they were. We watched them at face
Indeed.
value up to this
Come
point,
on.
and honestly, all the stats that you want to throw at them, they had just not played a caliber team like us. And as poorly as we still played at times offensively, we still abused them, and they did
Yes.
not like it. You could
Dominated.
see it on their faces.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that's what's beautiful. In this case, honestly, probably a Kirby Smart like here. He's giving this a thumbs up. There's heartbeats emojis all the time getting kicked off from a guy who's a defensive mindset who dominated their ass defensively. Yeah, inconsistencies offensively, but still, you're very happy as your head coach and the defensive game plan that Sheeman came out and did a really good job with those guys in the first half. Speaking of
Well,
what you were talking about, Troop.
100%, brother.
Yep. And,
Mm-hmm.
and that's right. And Georgia controlled this ball game basically on the defense because Carson Beck had a really strange game and he didn't get a whole lot of help from his offense. And they had some good play calls at time that were surprising. Some of the plays they called, they didn't run the ball when I wanted them to run the ball, but it didn't matter. Georgia had a lead in the first half, and I really
Mm-hmm.
wanted them to grind the game out, and it was kind of a grind, even though they scored 30 points. And Texas was in the chase mode because they didn't play well. You didn't see
Right.
Texas's offense ever get any rhythm whatsoever.
No.
Perfectly
And
said.
that was good to see. They took that away from Texas. And even when Texas, you thought that they might have a chance, and the quarterback couldn't find anybody open.
Mm-hmm.
And Ewers was not good. Then they brought Manning in. Manning
Mm-hmm.
didn't. I thought that was a mistake. He didn't look good at
Huge
all.
mistake.
And Georgia was right. Georgia, it was a mistake for the whole team. And it was them trying to find some kind of a spark. But Georgia, 23-0 at half. And then I don't want to stay on this. This is rapid reaction, but I will say the referees tried everything they could do. And I was even talking to my two sons here watching it. We knew they were going to try to keep this game close because when you're losing in a marquee game, you're gonna get some calls. But some of those calls were absolutely ridiculous. Two on with ETN trying to get extra yards, one for a touchdown, one for a first down. Thought they missed both of those, and
Both.
and then the two targeting penalties were both just ridiculous. Georgia's got players to plug in there, they do, but it's the
Right.
15 yards you give them to extend drives and to give them a chance. Coach, that's what was driving me nuts. I didn't feel like the officiating. Anyway, you win by two scores. And I still didn't feel like the officiating tried hard to make this a balanced,
I'm
unbiased
all
game.
for protecting football players. Let me say that first and foremost. So everybody out there that hears this show knows and understands that I understand you're trying to help not have cervical spine injuries. I was an athletic trainer before I was a coach, and I get it. I get how the game works in that regard. But another thing too, you can't play defense in today's world with the targeting rule the way it is. And plus it's asinine that you get kicked out of the entire ball game for a targeting penalty. I say it goes in like an unsportsmanlike conduct. You get your warning, and if you have a second one, then it's an ejection, because I can't sit there and tell you in full speed when a guy's catching a football over the middle and a defensive player has to react to him instantaneously on the spot and can't put his hat in the right spot so that it's not a targeting call. It is the most absolutely most ridiculous call in the sport. And I get it. Tackle with your face mask up. That's something you preach as a defensive coach. Put your hat in the V of the neck and separate them from the football. We do see, if you watch Dan Jackson, if you watch even KJ's, if you watch Janelle was textbook. He put his hat right dead in the V of that kid's chest, but he did it with his hat, down. And I get why they call it, because by the rule that's using the crown of the helmet. It's no different than Chaz Shamlis back in the Michigan game remember he got ejected in the Michigan game that we won in the Orange Bowl, putting his hat dead in the center of the kid's chest, but yet he lowered his hat. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, if you're going to do it, get your hat up. That's all I got to say about that. But it's really ridiculous how they were just so definitive in those plays right there, looking at all those things in regard. The first down call for ETN, we don't even have to go for it on fourth down. We're going to run the clock out after that, because that should have been a first down call. But, you even look at the defensive pass interference, which was a poor call by them. But in my lifetime, I've never seen, and it is not reviewable, a DPI. But yet, because them dumbasses down there in the student sections threw the water bottles and beer cans out on the field, there's two things that unfolded with this. It gave the referees to sit their time and say, you know what, we just screwed up, guys. We need to reverse this.
Come on.
And they're figuring out a way. And you can't do that, as bad as it was. And I know it was, I'm sitting there going as a Georgia fan going, oh my God, I cannot believe they called that, but thank God
it's a close call regardless, but you cannot, once the call's been made on the field, it's over.
It's not reviewable whatsoever. So whatever the call was, So them doing that was just completely, that was terrible. And I don't know what you do with that from the SEC officiating crew. That has never happened in my lifetime watching football, to see a DPI reversed like that. But anyhow, they gave them that. And, that was and on top of that, why did they not get a delay of game penalty for throwing the water bottles out there? It should have been first down from the 14-yard line, not the 9-yard line. But, we don't get that call either. So who knows?
We did find a way to persevere.
No, you're 100% right, Troop. But the idea that you can throw a temper tantrum, you can stop the game, you can impede the flow of the game, and somehow influence the call by getting the refs to gather together to decide they were not correct. I mean, that's not a direction for college.
That only happens against Georgia. I swear to God, it only happens to us. We get some of the you think about it back to like the Ohio State game when Brock Bowers got that first down on that freaking matrix play where he is perfectly just at the right spot. When I sat there and watched that play, I thought to myself, we never get this opportunity. We're finally on the other side of this play call right here, where we're getting the act reason there was an AT&T technician x-ray right there beside that first down marker to show us inexplicably that was a first down. But, here we are in 2024 and we're getting those kind of calls. And I'm sitting there going, you've got to be kidding me. And like Troop said, you've almost got to get to the point as a coach, you're saying, forget about it, short-term memory. But over a period of time, if the referees are changing the dynamic of the ball game because they continue to interfere with making those kinds of calls, stopping play, going to the review booth, all that, I can't even say it, review booth, that just changes the complete dynamics of the game, and it really makes it frustrating. And as Dolphins, we're winning by 2 touchdowns, and I'm still just absolutely going off on them.
I love it.
Our ass because they are so bad. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man.
Yep. And I think the game was all about that first half. Georgia converted. They took advantage of situations. They turned the ball over. Beck was throwing the ball in the very conflicted a spot, and I was like, what are you doing? I wasn't happy with Beck at all. He didn't have a great game. Beck was 23 out of 41 for 175 yards, 3 picks. And he was just throwing the ball in spots that he shouldn't throw it in. And still, Georgia's defense saved them in those spots. And then
Yeah.
Georgia's offense, you saw Dalen Everett come in there and force a fumble. Georgia capitalized on that. Georgia
Mm.
capitalized on those turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
And Texas did not. Georgia's defense rose up and
There you
covered
go.
for the offense for those
You
turnovers. We've been needing to
we
see
almost
that,
got what we wanted
right?
in
We've
one
been
ball
needing to
game,
see,
seeing those plus
yeah.
turnover margins. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What we also saw was that Texas is not the juggernaut
Mm-hmm.
they were made out to
Yeah.
be. Because
Nope.
if they were, they would have pounced on those opportunities they had against Georgia. They did not. Opportunities. They've been told how good they are. They've been praised and told they're the number one team in the country, one of the best offenses, one of the best defenses, no weaknesses. Everybody told them that. And
Mm-hmm.
Georgia came right into their own living
Mm-hmm.
room,
Yes,
took
sir.
everything from them and said, no, 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 not yet. Texas is not there yet. And I take it was not an easy game. I take a lot of solace in the way Georgia ground this one out. They took a lead in the first half and they just grounded out. Still won by 2 scores. Never was any doubt. And against the referees, against the whatever calls didn't go their way, Georgia did not make an excuse for that to fold. They
Right.
just kept pushing and kept playing defense and kept making it a little more difficult. Running clock, add another few points on the board. 30-15, your final score. Not the statistics will not tell you anything about this game. The statistics not pretty at all. It
Right.
was all about situational
There you go.
play, and Georgia played one of those games where you got to find a way to win. And I expected at some point. I said this is going to come down to a last 3 minutes, one possession game because that's the way the refs want it.
100%.
And it found a way for that not to happen. You saw them defend, and when we look at this game on all 22, we can see because Georgia didn't put crazy pressure on Ewers, but they put enough pressure on him, and he had time to throw the ball. There was nothing for him. He couldn't find. He was trying to find. He was going through his procession or progressions and could not find receivers, and then it came home. And so Georgia must have been doing. When we look at this a second watch, we'll find out exactly what Georgia did defensively that made this a Georgia Bulldog victory, and Georgia improves to 6-1, and Texas takes their first loss.
You're 100% true, Brinson. You're going to find that Georgia was in position. Georgia was not. We love Sark. Sark is a genius, but Kirby had his guys prepared at each and every level for it. Late in the game, there was confusion. There was a bunch of things going on, but whatever. The fact of the matter is, Kirby had his guys up for the moment. Sark brought the moment. Kirby was ready for it. There was nothing that caught this Georgia defense off guard tonight, and that is, I think, what was the difference in the game. There were many that thought, much like in 2020, in 2021, that Tennessee team could suddenly just jump up and score 50 on Georgia. Same type of thing tonight. No, we at some point we're going to have to say we're getting tired of Kirby making us look like we don't know what we're talking about, because when the big moment occurs on the big stage, Kirby has his boys ready to play, and they look like man amongst boys, and that's what happened tonight. True, Brinson.
So, yep. And again, the stats won't tell the true story of this, but this is just a rapid reaction. I want to send it to Coach for one final thought. And Coach, for a rewatch means everything in this game, and finding out some kind of nuances of what actually happened. What do you feel just watching it live enabled Georgia to come out and find a way to get this W in Austin?
It's really crazy because, believe it or not, I know it may sound like a nerd here, but I actually take notes while they're playing. I actually see plays and actually write stuff down because I know what I want to go to when I'm recording. I'm going to say this defensively. What was nice is we got home with 4 and 5 man pressure only and was able to play good zone and man behind it. That was something that was very effective tonight. We didn't have to bring a 6th and 7th man pressure tonight. We were getting home with our jack and our 3 defensive linemen. I just speaking so hard, I took one of my headphones right out of my ear.
I love everything about that.
But anyhow. But, with that being said, when it came down to it, defense had to step up, and we caused a lot of havoc in the backfield. We caused a lot of pressure. We made it very uncomfortable for viewers, which I knew if we did, we would have a solid night defensively. I was really still, I would love to see us still be a little disruptive and, in phase with with our secondary, but for the most part, we brought the hats tonight. I saw us getting off blocks a little bit better. I saw us flying around, which made me feel a lot better, a lot faster speed tonight. Didn't seem to be playing confused. And I'm going to say this from an offensive standpoint, probably one of the best completions that Beck had all night of his 21 was when Texas had just got that defensive pass interference call overturned. They had gone in and scored, made it 23-15. And there was a simple curl route to Arian Smith on 3rd and 10 that Beck completed and got us out of the hole, got us out of the shadow of our own end zone. Next play, we ran the sort of unique little weird barnyard play where we threw it to Delp down the sideline on the wheel, and that set up our score to go up 30-15. That was a huge play, even though Beck did not play very well. And you're right, his stats look god-awful, absolutely terrible. It's nothing to write home about. But that completion, Arian Smith on 3rd and 10, a simple curl route that he ran on 3rd and 10, was a huge completion for us to extend our drive, get down the field, and put a score in the end zone to make it 30-15. And that's all she wrote.
Love it.
Yep. Dogs find a way and show you. We predicted they would have to play their best game of the season, and they maybe did defensively. You didn't see missed tackles tonight. You saw pressure on the Texas offense, and Georgia just played a game. It was about winning again, not about
there you go
as far as putting stats up and running numbers up and style points. Georgia won because they were better tonight than Texas at their own house, and so we're going to revel in that. We're going to enjoy it. We'll be back in a couple of days to really hash it out and dig down into actually what happened. But this has been a rapid reaction. We're so glad to bring it to you. Dogs improved to 6-1. Put Texas's first loss on them. Welcome them to the big boys in the
Welcome
SEC.
to the
and see how they respond
SEC. I love everything about it, Troop Brinson.
All right, we'll be back in a couple of days. Thank you, Coach Hayes. Thank you, Smooch. We'll see you soon. This has been a Dog Show Rapid Reaction.
It's the Dog Show. It's the Dog Show. It's the Dog Show. It's the Dog Show.